Today on our 2015 Ford E-Series motorhome, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster rear anti-sway bar, part number RM1139-147. Here at eTrailer.com, we've had a lot of customers complain about the characteristics of the way their motorhome rides. Let's take a look at one of those now.
Yeah, there's a lot of, times we get the body roll when we're stopping or going around a curve, and then the unit will want to roll to the right or left.
Right.
So we're hoping to minimize that. This whole unit, especially being top heavy like this, it'll want to roll in the direction, and we're hoping to stiffen that up and help stabilize it just a little more, feel a little more solid. Buffeting in the wind, I mean, we were on vacation and there were times when I had the wheel like this going straight down the road. Well, my wife wouldn't even drive the vehicle at that time. In fact, it was funny because she found the next exit, pulled over, stopped in the middle of the exit, and bailed out. She goes, "I'm done." The kids were laughing. So we're hoping to keep that, minimize it. Probably never get rid of all of it, but we'd like to reduce that. And that was from a stop. It's to be expected with something like this, but if we can make it better, that's the goal. Now feel on this turn how it wants to roll. Not too bad, but there's a little bit there. You feel it, it just kind of does this down the road. Every time there's a break in the overpass or it's a big box on a small frame. I'm just looking to increase the controllability of the unit.
So if you've driven a motorhome before, you're probably going to encounter a lot of the symptoms that our customer Tom had, which a lot of crosswinds are going to be pushing you around, and when you're taking turns, you're going to really notice how top heavy and how big your motorhome is. Well, and needless to say, it is, a giant box on wheels, so when that crosswind comes by, it's going to be kind of noticeable that it does start to push you. But that's where our Roadmaster Anti-Sway Bar is going to come into play. It's going to connect at two different points, at our axle and our frame, giving us that rigid stability and platform, so when we take that turn, it's going to be more stable and not flex as much. Our anti-sway bar itself is going to be made of 4140 chrome moly steel, so it's going to be nice and durable, and it's going to have a black powder coat finish, which is going to last a long time. Even the end links are much beefier and thicker than our factory ones, which means they're going to give us that much more stability and give us that much more handling characteristics when we're driving down the road. Now, just looking at the bars themselves, we can see quite a bit of difference in size. Now, our factory bar is going to be right about 1 inch thick, whereas our new Roadmaster bar is going to be 1.5 inches, giving us that much more stability and more strength when we drive down the road. Our factory sway bar is going to use a rubber bushing, which over time is going to break down and give more, which means there's going to be a lot more play in the system. Where our new Roadmaster sway bar is going to use a polyurethane bushing, which is a lot more durable, and it's not going to break down over time due to oil, grease, or the ozone itself, which means it's going to be more sturdy and give us that much more stability when we're driving. When you use the front anti-sway bar in conjunction with the rear, it's going to give you that much more stability and that much more comfort and safety when you're driving down the road, which is all going to equate, again, to less driver fatigue. Now that we've seen what our sway bar looks like installed and gone over some of the features, let's go ahead and let Tom take it out for a test drive.
No body roll through this turn, or not nearly as much. See how level that was? Yeah. We're taking this a little bit faster, and look, it's still level through the turn pretty much.
Yeah.
How much smoother it is. The unevenness in the roads, a lot of that is gone. It just feels so much more solid. I mean, the steering is so nice now. Just fingertip. I'm surprised how much that really helped. I'm level through the turns, whereas before, even at slow speed, and you saw that when we would come out, there would be body roll. Did you see how level it was coming out of your parking lot? And taking the highway, we went a little bit faster because we had a truck in front of us last time, and we were much more level. I feel like it's more in control. lost a lot of this twisting action. I mean, it was funny, my wife and daughters would actually see the vehicle moving because it's such a long wheelbase, but now I can feel that it's pretty solid. I mean, just the overall feel and the steering, I really like the way the steering's feeling with all the changes. So yeah, it's well worth it, well worth it. I feel like you're in more in control of it now. I'm surprised that those bars made that much difference in how the steering wheel feels. I thought the steering stabilizer was nice, but I can actually tell an upgrade, probably the best upgrade we've done to this.
So with the anti-sway bar in place, Tom and his wife are ready to hit the road and start their adventure. Now that we've seen what our anti-sway bar looks like, let's show you how to put it in place. To begin our installation, we're going to come to our factory rear sway bar, and we're going to come to the end link and follow it up till we find the mounting spot on our frame. Now it's going to be held in with one bolt going through the frame. Now there is a weld nut in there, so we don't have to get a wrench. But I'm going to be using a 15mm socket to pull that bolt out. Now once we have that one removed, we're going to go to the other side and take that one out as well. Now the only thing holding our sway bar in place right now is the axle brackets, one on each side, and each of them have 2 bolts. I'm using a 13mm socket to remove those. Just want to mention a sway bar is rather heavy, so you want to be careful when you start removing the bolts and don't allow it to fall down. So I'm going to loosen this one, but I'm going to leave a few threads in there so it doesn't come completely down. Here, so I can take that last bolt out by hand and then go to the other side and allow it to come down slowly. Now I would like to mention the bolts that we took out from our factory bar are going to be reused, so we're going to need to hold on to those. Now since they do provide us with new bushings and brackets, we're not going to have to take off the old ones, but it's a nice idea to put them next to each other so we can get a general idea of where our bushing and brackets are going to go. So we can take the provided lubricant, and you're going to want to apply a good amount to the inside of the bushing, making it that much easier to slide onto the bar and get it into place. Now once we have it nice and lubed up, it is a split bushing. We're just going to open it up, and we're going to go around the bar in the general spot that we're going to want to put it till it slides into place. And we'll go ahead and do that for the other side as well. Now the brackets we're just going to take, and they're going to slide right around the bushings. Just going to press them into place. And these brackets are going to line up just like our factory brackets did with the holes in the axle to where we can take our bolts and thread them in. Now at this point, you're going to want to pick the bar up and loosely put at least one bolt in each side so that it can hold itself up. Now we're going to be reusing the factory bolts, but we're going to be taking a 3/8 washer and sliding it over the factory bolt and then threading it into place. Now if you didn't have those in place just to get the bar up, that's fine. Go ahead and make sure it's supported and then come back and put the hardware in and get everything into place. Once we have all the hardware in place, we're going to come back with that same 13mm socket and we're going to snug them all up. We're going to get ready to attach our end link to our sway bar here. So we're going to take one of our 1/2-inch bolts. Then we're going to take a 1/2-inch flat washer, which is going to be the smaller hole of the two. We're going to slide it through our end link. And before we go through the bar, we're going to take a 9/16 flat washer. And you're going to slide it through the bar, having the bolt go through the eyelet, and then we'll secure it with a 1/2-inch lock nut. Now when you put your end link in place, you want to make sure that it's on the outside of your sway bar. You want to go in between your spring pack and the frame. And we'll go ahead and put the other one in place as well. I'm going to go ahead and take a marker, and right next to my end link, I'm going to go ahead and make a mark so I know that right there is up and down. Then we're going to need to measure from the bottom of our frame up about 4.5 inches, and that'll give us the angle that we want our sway bar to sit at. So if I put 4.5 inches at the bottom of my frame, I can go ahead and mark the top area. So we put our end link back, double check our measurements. Now it is closer to the top of the end link, but I'm going to go ahead and take that marker. I'm going to go through my end link. Find it. I'm going to make a mark right through the eyelet of it. Double checking to make sure it lines up with that vertical mark I made, making sure it's nice and straight up and down. We can rotate it out of the way, and that's where we're going to be drilling our hole. So that mark where the eyelet was, I'm going to come back with a rather small drill bit for a pilot hole, making it a little bit easier because our final hole is going to need to be at least a 1/2 inch or big enough for a 1/2 inch bolt to go through. We're going to come back and enlarge that hole to at least a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to come back with that 1/2 inch drill bit and kind of wallow it out a little bit just to make sure that that bolt's going to go through. So now to double check that we drilled our hole large enough, I'm going to take that 1/2 inch bolt, I'm going to feed it through and make sure that it goes all the way into the frame. Now that we can see it clearly does, we're going to take that 1/2 inch bolt, we're going to slide on a 1/2 inch flat washer, we're going to rotate our end link into place, and just like on the bottom, we're going to take a 9/16 flat washer and put it on the inside. And you're going to want to have that washer in between the end link and the frame itself. And then we can rotate the end link into place, push the bolt through, and we'll put another 1/2 inch lock nut on the inside. I'm going to use the same combination of hardware on the other side as well. You can go ahead and come back with a 3/4 inch socket and wrench, and we're going to snug up our end link bolts. We'll repeat that for any remaining bolts. And we're going to come back and torque down all of our hardware to the specified amount in the instructions. Now for that top bolt, it may be easier to torque it down if you have an extension, giving you a little bit more access. I'll repeat that for the other side too. And that'll finish up your look at the Roadmaster rear anti-sway bar, part number RM-1139-147 on our 2015 Ford E-Series motorhome.